people get into your cab. You just dip in and out of people's lives every 15 minutes. How's your day going? Forward into Sloane Square, leave by Cliveden Place.
The knowledge is the test every London cabbie has to take. That's 26,000 roads and 1,000 routes connecting every one.
Left into Buckingham Palace Road, forward into Buckingham Gate.
And you have to commit every journey to memory before you join a very select band.
When the examiner handed me my badge, he said to me, "Congratulations, well done. This is the equivalent of doing a degree in law." And I said to him, "I wish you'd have told me that 3 years ago, because I think I'd have preferred the degree in law, to be honest. I could be in America, the Maldives."
But instead, John has been wired up to a super powerful MRI scanner in the bowels of UCL for a groundbreaking scientific experiment.
So we are testing London taxi drivers and seeing what's so special about their brains. And we're also looking at how they plan routes throughout London. So we've designed an experiment where we have 120 different routes, and we're looking at their brain activity while they're doing so.
All right, well done. Perfect. Would you like to continue with a technical scan?
More than 30 taxi drivers have volunteered to be scanned in an MRI and to have their brain function measured while working out routes across London at the same time.
Answering the questions while you're in there trying to stay still in an MRI tube for an hour. Yeah, it was interesting, to be fair.
So we have, new technology now, and actually ways in which we can take a much more high-resolution image.
And in particular, we're looking at the hippocampus, which in taxi drivers is a very special brain area because it has this incredible thing of it grows larger. But what's even more fascinating is that this structural change is in relation to how many years you've spent as a taxi driver. So it's not simply, learning all this stuff. It's actually implementing it over years and years that causes a larger and larger change in your brain structure. And this is one of maybe the kind of strongest example of adult human brain plasticity, that the human brain can change even into adulthood, no matter when you take up a new skill such as becoming a taxi driver.
Which is something amazing, and it's something that we can really only look at the taxi drivers for.
So with today's technology, we're able to look in a lot higher detail. So we can look at subfields and substructures of the hippocampus to really understand what's going on, which wasn't possible before.
I suppose how we sort of guide our way through it is learning what we call oranges and lemons. And then there's a few side roads that join them all up. And that's all you do, as long as you know where north, south, east and west is.
There is real urgency in this project because the researchers believe that unlocking taxi drivers' special skills are a way to finding out more about dementia.
There's a huge problem facing society, which is essentially that the population keeps growing older and older, and we still don't have a cure for dementia and Alzheimer's disease.
And really, just not enough is known about kind of how and why this happens.
So we're hoping by getting a much better understanding of how this brain region actually functions and how it can change, that will lead to new breakthroughs and discoveries on how we can cure Alzheimer's disease down the line.
Once the atrophy has started, people with AD, Alzheimer's dementia, are no longer able to navigate specifically familiar environments. So they tend to get lost, around their own homes, in their local village, in their local area. And that is one of the first signs that this onset has occurred.
I know a couple of friends whose parents or uncles they've been touched with dementia, and so yeah, I thought I'll give it a go. Yeah, I think people should do their bit, really.
All right, perfect. So we only have 4 more sets to go and then we're done, okay?
The images we're taking, the structural images we're acquiring with these taxi drivers, is not how the hippocampus declines. So that would be the more clinical side of Alzheimer's research, but actually how the hippocampus grows. It doesn't matter how many taxi drivers we've tested, it's still exciting to, pull up that high-resolution image, get a look at their hippocampus, and actually see that we can see the individual folds of the hippocampi, which was never possible before. The ideas for this project we'd been sitting on for a while. We had these mathematical models of planning that we wanted to test with the taxi drivers, but simply we didn't have the funding to do so. And this is quite, a common problem in science as well, is that funding is scarce, ideas are not.
And Ordnance Survey agreed to fund this really exciting research project.
So actually being able to match up a good research question with not just a funding body, but a funding body that actually makes sense for the project as well. We really are kind of testing maps, right? We're testing the taxi drivers on their knowledge and being able to kind of compute very quickly routes across the giant map that is the streets of London. Simply put, this project wouldn't have been possible without Ordnance Survey.
But yeah, it's all very exciting, and thank you so very much.
No problem.